right, hello and welcome to the Jester's Court with me, 𝐤𝐸𝐤𝐸. Mom Thulu could not be with us tonight, so instead we have a very special guest host, fellow charity streamer and Trekkie, Mr. Pat McLean. Did I say your last name right?
Yep, you got it right. Thank you, sir.
How's your week been, man?
You know what? Can't complain. I had Friday off, hung out with my kids. It was their twins' birthday, so did that. Had a birthday party, ate a lot of horrible food for you, so I can't complain.
That's awesome. I had actually a pretty cool week. I have a new job with the United Way, and I
Yep.
got to go ahead on a project I proposed, which is going to be starting a gaming community built around a Twitch page, kind of like good for gaming,
Oh,
to
that's sweet.
help them with youth engagement.
That's even better.
Because my first weekend, there's a strategy meeting, and they're talking about getting younger people involved. And no offense to anyone that was in that meeting, if you happen to listen to my podcast, I doubt it. But they were talking about going to like libraries and church groups, and I was like, that sounds really cool 30 years ago. But probably should do something a little more up to date.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
you need to get hip with this. Let's go with that.
so I'm building a Discord. We're gonna create a Twitch page, and if you're in the Pensacola area and you stream, hit me up on Twitter, or you can email the show at thejesterskcourt80 @gmail.com, and we'll get you on the page.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm not.
So yesterday, to cap off the week, I decided to be healthier for myself, and I'm drinking more water.
How's that going for you?
Well, I went from 0 a day to I drank 8 cups yesterday, and my reward was I had to get up and go pee 4 times last night. I was sleeping.
Yeah, that does happen. All I do, so Mike, all I do is drink water. I drink about 3 of these a day. And that's 340 ounces a day at least. So we
Yeah, I'm working my way up because I was doing research and it said 16 cups a day. I'm like, well, I went from 0 to 8, so that's a good start.
yeah, I mean anything's better than 0. So
I was always one with the argument. This has water in it. My coffee has water in it. My Monster has water
this is semi true, but not
in
exactly
it.
true.
uh,
So
all right. So on that note, guys, before we get on to the show, it's time for shout outs where we take a moment to recognize our fabulous patrons. We have who is in the chat, I see, telling us that water is life, Mr. 𝐤𝐤𝐤. He was our founding patron. Firebrand, which you are very much aware of, Pat, who's an awesome human being.
very awesome.
Derek Diamond, and our wayward co-host, Miss Mom Thulu.
Yeah.
You two can be. She's my wife. She has to.
I mean, she doesn't have to. She can throw things at you if she wants.
She does both. Why not
Yes.
both? You guys too can be a patron if you want. Go to patreon.com/thejesterskourt. Tiers start as low as $3 a month, and we do cool things like have commentary tracks we record. And this coming up weekend is going to be our next Saturday morning cartoons, where we watch cartoons from the 80s and 90s along with authentic commercials.
Yeah, mask.
I have not done mask yet, but I can find some. This week
I'm
we're
just saying
doing
it's
the
yeah.
real Ghostbusters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we're finishing up the opening movie for Ronin Warriors.
Okay.
That was
Yeah, I grew up. I was an '80s child, so yeah, I got you. So
and now for the main event tonight, we are talking about that's right. We are talking about Star Trek Discovery. Set 10 years before the events of the original series, Discovery launched what I like to call New Track. I say that like I coined it. I didn't. At least in the long form, because we had the movies from the early
I mean,
2000s.
yeah, you got the reboot movies.
Its success led to a whole universe of other track content, including Picard, Below Decks, and coming soon, Strange New Worlds, led by the.
You you got also Sector 31 and There's another one hitting too. They just did.
Oh yeah, they're every day they're announcing more stuff.
Or Section 31, excuse me. So
Strange New Worlds, I'm looking forward to with Anson Mount, and I'm looking forward to it only because of Anson Mount. I had no interest in it until season 2 of Discovery, and I saw him play Pike, and I'm like, okay, now I have to go watch this.
I can't wait. I mean, especially because this is on Discovery. When in season 2, he had to make the choice of, do I want to become cripple in my wheelchair, disgusting looking Pike, or do I want to be Anson Mount, sexy Pike forever? And well, we all know that choice was made. So
yes, that will have to be the end of something. But so
we all know Kirk's been recast already, so that's season 2. So of Strange New World.
Miss Fantasy Geek is in the chat, and she's gonna feel so far behind listening because she hasn't seen anything past DS9.
Well, we can educate you, Fantasy.
Oh yes, the ways of the dark side. No wait, wrong show.
Different show. Rewind it.
But no, not everyone agrees with the success. There's been a lot of hate for these new shows and Discovery in general. So tonight, me and Pat here, we're gonna break down some of the bigger gripes, decide if they're valid, and ultimately if the show holds up, flaws and all. I do want to throw in a quick warning for those of you who have not finished season 4. There may be spoilers. I've got nothing in mind.
Definitely.
I was gonna say
I got spoilers.
I was gonna say I can't control where the conversation goes. If you have not watched it, consider yourself warned. And now Pat has now confirmed there probably is going to be spoilers to a specific incident.
Yes.
All right. So are you ready to get started, Pat?
Anytime, Mike. Let's rock and roll. I mean, I could talk Star Trek for about 4 days, so let's keep going.
All right. So I decided to start with the easier of the complaints, the lighter of the group. So our first complaint is a lot of people in the bowels of Reddit have complained that the Spore Drive is ridiculous. Instantly traveling anywhere is unbelievable. I know where I want to go with this, but Pat, what were your first thoughts of that?
So, we're going to take it back to season 1 when I first saw the Spore Drive. And I went, well, why have I never seen this when Voyager went missing? Or why have I never seen this, when we were in the, Gamma Quadrant with, the big evil, the Borg. Why is the Borg never had this? Like, why has this never been a thing? And I'm like, oh, wait. And then, we see it defunk a few times and it doesn't work and it spits and sputters. And I'm like, all right, well, it's like something super ridiculous. And it's never, and then, you watch the beginning of the show, it's never going to work. Okay, great. So this is just a piece of failed technology. Now it is a thing. We're in season 4. You can jump anywhere you want in the in the universe besides the end of space. Of course, can't go past end of space. I mean, I don't think it's unbelievable because I like how they hit it. I at the end of season 2 there, when Discovery makes its future jump and goes off 900 and something years into the future, whatever, 930 or whatever, everyone just hit it. It was like this big conspiracy. It was deleted off the permanent records. It was never invented. And
basically most of what Discovery was done like that. Like it was.
Yeah. And that was it. Like Discovery was gone. Like it made a future jump and then just died. Like, according to Starfleet, it never existed. And of course, when we get Section 31, who knows? Maybe we'll get hints of like the archives of Section 31. That's where Discovery's history sits. But in all reality, I think it's totally something like I could see them messing with things like that because mushrooms are totally a thing. It's one of those like, it's a thing. But is it a little unbelievable? Sure. But I mean, we can go look at any different, big space drama and they're like, I don't know. I think it's completely fine.
So go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I'm leaving it. I think it's completely fine.
Uh,
So
my 2 cents, and so the mushroom stuff aside, I think it's worth pointing out to you guys, the guys who are saying this, instantaneous travel is actually far closer to the real science than warp drive is.
exactly.
Most takes on faster than light travel using today's known science suggest that the warping of space time, think event horizon, not hyperspace, will fold 2 points together and you just fly through instantly. So
Yep. Basically, it just point A to point B. You just literally, it's like a little wormhole. It just goes whoop.
So when you say it's unbelievable, really it's actually more believable than the current trend or the of warp drive or Star Wars as hyperspace or
Yeah.
Event Horizon got it right. Hopefully not the scary nightmarish hellscape that's on the other side, but the travel part. Event Horizon got it right.
Yeah, I mean, and according to science, that's the way it is. But I think at the same point, it was kind of cool saying like there's because we know there's different universes or different realities, different because we have Q and all that stuff. We know of all these different things in Star Trek. So the mycelial like network they call it that's a thing. It connects all of the realities together in a way. So for someone to figure out how to travel it, sure, I can get with that. So
I hadn't considered it from that angle either. In a universe where you readily accept Q
yep,
as godlike power, you're going to
yep,
question the Mushroom Network?
exactly.
And don't even get me started on old school the original series with physical hands grabbing the Enterprise and looking like a mouse cursor.
I mean that I mean like that's a thing. It's so
You're
like
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All right. Oh, go ahead.
So that like I say, I mean for that case in point, for the way Star Trek has been written now, where we have the old TNG stuff, DS9, TOS, and then they rewrote it all into the movies, and that was a alternate universe. And we've seen DS9 with alternate universes and Voyager with alternate universes, and TNG had an alternate universe when Enterprise C showed up. So they know it's all there. So for them to just say, well, we're just going to travel that network now.
It's really cool. And I
I'm
thought
good.
it was a really cool detail that in season 4, it only goes as far as our universe.
Yeah, the unknown,
So when you leave our universe in galaxy, or our galaxy, I'm sorry, our galaxy into the outer universe, it didn't work anymore, and they couldn't use it. I thought that was a little
which I was completely fine with.
No, I love that. I love that aspect.
Yep.
Kyle in chat says, "Fold the space, spice is life."
Yep. I'm good with that.
All right, guys. That was the easy one. The doesn't get into dark, sticky things. Now we're gonna get to a little more meatier topics.
Yep.
Something I love about New Trek, and it's not trying to simply recreate the look and feel of its predecessors. Excuse me. While it exists in the same universe, it does not try and be shiny, perfect versions of everything. That, of course, has brought complaints that it betrays Roddenberry's vision. But honestly, I think it straddles the line pretty well. And to me, to do it and degrade like they are makes for a much more compelling story. And still maintains the spirit of Roddenberry's vision. It's something, and we talked about this a little bit before the show, is actually not completely new to Star Trek. A lot of DS9's story did this, and it's a part of it's part of the reason why I think DS9 is one of the best track shows to date.
Yeah, no, I mean Roddenberry, his vision was just always push the envelope, make it so it was one of those like he always wanted equality, but he wanted to show like how other races got equality or how other races became equal in the Federation, or how, like you went to a slave planet. And I mean, I'll throw it back to TNG when they went to the slave or the planet where the women were in charge and the men were subservient to them. And there was, the crash ship with the men that were leaking over, and it's just a whole buttload of like political aspects of like throwing that show. And I remember that show raised a whole bunch of anger issues with people. But then you go into Discovery and they're doing the same thing. They're throwing this, it's just not, I don't know. I think it totally falls within Roddenberry. I think if Roddenberry was alive, he would be so happy with Discovery at this point and be ridiculous. So
we have agreement. Kyle says the new track show life how it would be, and it's more compelling that way to me.
Mm-hmm.
You have those lofty goals, and for the most part, you reach them. But I like the struggle. And I'll go back to DS9. My favorite episode of DS9, In the Pale Moonlight. In the Pale Moonlight, when he's got to convince the Romulans to come into the war.
Oh yeah, when it's a fake.
Yeah. Well, he struggles with it, and he does dark things before the greater good, and then you see at the end, he's not cool with it. It's going to follow him, and that's what I like about taking it in this direction.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you've seen that with like the whole Booker and Burnham love story, and like, spoiler alert, Booker's home planet goes away, and now he's this like rebel with a cause, and scorched earth type thing, and Burnham's got to fight through that all. And I mean, I know that's a topic coming up, but there's a lot of like, she had to go against him and convince everyone that what's going on. It's just one of those, like, say, it's how life would be there.
Yeah. I think to sum it up, I don't think showing struggle necessarily ruins Roddenberry's vision of humanity in the future. The ideals are still there. It's not like they're breaking down into capitalism is back in.
Well, it's like Tilly. It was Tilly and what's her name, or their name, when they took the cadets out to the planet. They were doing a survey.
Yeah. Yes. I know you're talking about. Yes, I know the scene you're talking about.
And they took the cadets to the planet. They crashed, and that was a whole that meant that, like, if that's not Roddenberry as a whole, that's you had 4 different races all fighting and bickering with each other, trying to figure out and then it threw a problem at them, and they all became better for it.
Tilly, I think, is the embodiment of Roddenberry's vision. Tilly is
very much.
She's like the mascot, and yeah, I'm sorry, people who get offended that they curse, they say shit. It's not a network television. That's not a Roddenberry thing. That was a network television thing. They can say shit, and they do.
I'm completely fine with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
No, because it's not like they're over the top about it.
No. Hell, last episode, when they're sitting there drinking with Admiral, and they're just choosing freaking whiskey back, or bourbon back in the freaking thing, when I was good with it. So
before we move on, talking about that ending, how cool was Stacey Abrams as the president of United Earth?
Oh my God. I was so hilariously laughing at everyone online. This is an outrage. How can we have someone like her be, on the show? And I'm like, that was the best ending you could have had.
You could tell she was a fan. She would not stop she's not an actress. So she spent every part that she was on camera. If you're out in the pod, I'm smiling huge. She smiled, this huge smile, like beaming. It was so cool.
You could see, like, it was like radiating, like the happy aura of just like, I am out of Star Trek. I am out of Star Trek. I am out of Star Trek. Like, it's.
I don't know who asked who, but oh my God, that was like life event for her checked off.
Yeah. Bucket list done. And it was perfect too. Like, President of United Earth, welcome back. And she just gets to be that one that just has those like 4 or 5 lines. Welcome back. Yeah. Thank you.
It was just a walk-on role. A couple things, but it was cool. Rob Man in the chat agrees. So does Kyle.
Yep. Yeah.
And that actually transitions well into our next point, which is a next complaint, not point, because we aren't making this point. Burnham is a Mary Sue, bad writing, and she's too emotional. Oh my freaking god, with Mary Sue. Why is it every time you have a realistic female lead, people want to call them Mary Sue?
I don't know.
And it doesn't even work for this one. Burnham's good at her job because she trained. She studied and worked for it. The only way that argument works is if you ignore her backstory before the first episode. And, oh, she's a specialist who became captain in the course of 2 seasons. No, she had a whole career. It makes no sense. You spent 20 years doing this. You're a Mary Sue. No, she spent her life. That's Rob Bannick said. That's what I said. Same thing about every female main character.
It is. I mean, janeway got it. It was. I don't know.
As for the too emotional too, and let me say this real quick, and I'll switch it back over to you, Pat. I kind of see the emotional point, at least from my point of view. I think they have a breakdown a little too much, but it doesn't take away from me for the overall experience. Personally, I thought Janeway was the opposite of this, where it'd have been nicer for her to show more vulnerability at times. But she's still a great character. Burnham is still a great character, and it doesn't detract from the show because I feel like, oh, she's crying again.
No, I don't think the crying is like a bad thing. It's like, if I was in that spot, I kind of like in a few of the episodes I've looked at, I'm like, all right, if I was captain of that ship and the love of my life is there and I know everything that's happened and, everything that's happened to me previously where, I've almost died on like 13 occasions now at this point, like Burnham is one of the characters where I think she dies almost every 4 episodes or almost dies. It's the most ridiculous thing. And I don't know. I think she is probably one of the best female characters we've ever had in Trek.
She's got the best arc of any captain in Trek so far, for sure. I mean,
and that's the thing. Like, we never knew about Janeway before. Like, when Voyager hit, all you knew was Captain Janeway. You didn't know any of the backstory. Like here, like we start in episode 1, she starts the war with the Klingons, basically. In all sense of the word, she starts the war with the Klingons.
For those who haven't seen the show, the war, the one that was all over the original series movies.
Yeah.
That war.
She started it. And, she gets sentenced for high treason, trying to mutiny a ship. Like, this is a whole, like, this character has gone the whole gambit of, like, she was Spock's stepsister. Like, this is a thing, like, you're just like, holy jeez. Human raised by Vulcans. I don't know. Like,
how often do you get to see the redemption arc like this in the captain on a Star Trek property? It has not happened.
I was trying to think of captains we've seen, and they've never taken it that far back. I think the closest one you can get to is like a Picard at this point.
Picard, you've got a lot of backstory. Cisco, you get a lot of backstory if you watch all 8 seasons.
If you watch all 8 seasons, yes, Cisco gets a lot of back. Archer didn't get any. Kirk really got almost none, except for in the movie Generations, is we get some backstory out of
a little
Kirk.
Bit, but really you get more of his backstory from the J.J. Abrams movie than from any movie or
exactly
series.
Exactly. So it's just one of those, like, this, I think, as a character is more fleshed out than we've ever seen a captain. And I think that's what people get so angry about, is like, what, now that they can judge, why is she a captain? Like, what makes her a good captain? Why is she, why isn't
she's
Saru
learned from all that? Oh my god, sorry, I'm gonna get
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's so maddening.
It is.
You know what was really cool too about Discovery, and she eventually, as we're talking about her as a captain, she eventually made it there. But this is the first Star Trek property where the initial focus was not on a captain. Burnham was a specialist. She was the first officer, then she was a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Then she was just a science officer, and she's been the focal point of the show. And that was something, for 3 seasons, she was not the captain, and that's what the show has been about. And that's something that was really interesting.
Or it's like, here, you're the captain. Oh nope, Saru's not the captain. It's like
they are a little looser with the ranks than the previous Star Treks. I think at this point, everyone on the bridge is a commander or higher.
Yep. Nope. I think I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
There are no ensigns on this ship. I mean, I guess to be fair, they did come 900 years into the future, so that should get you a promotion or
do you get an extra pip there if you get 900 years? Like, is that the
But you can't tell me Ensign Kim isn't watching it and going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
6 years, I'm an ensign still.
Yeah. I've been in the I've been working my way home, fighting my way through Borg. I'm still a freaking ensign.
Oh, poor Ensign Kim.
Oh, I loved him.
He was great. Him in Paris, and I can't remember the actors' names. Forgive me.
Yeah.
But they actually have a podcast.
Oh, I know. I listen to it every now and again. It's great. It really does explore Trek in a very different look. So
Rob Band in chat says, I was in Borg stage for 7 fucking years.
That's the truth. And what had to feel bad was Tom Paris got promoted before him.
Promoted, demoted, and didn't they promote him again?
Yeah.
Like he started lieutenant, he got demoted to ensign.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the show ended with lieutenant again.
Yep, he was a lieutenant at the end of the show again.
So where's Kim going? Okay, if there was an open spot for a lieutenant, why am I not getting it?
Yeah.
Or ensign.
Like it's forever the running joke. It's just Ensign Kim. The man could restart the ship cold, do everything on the ship. Probably, he sat in the command chair as well for the night shift, but forever just Ensign Kim.
Just to drag it back to Discovery too. Talk about him being pissed. Tilly.
Oh yeah.
She was a cadet.
Yeah.
Who made the first officer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's still.
Yeah.
Well, she's the cadet.
And now she's training future cadets.
Yeah, but that kind of fits because, like we said, she is the mascot. She embodies.
Yeah.
And that's basically what she's teaching them is how to be a team. And
yep.
That's perfect for Chile. They did that awesome.
Yep. Drink the Kool-Aid, folks.
The Kool-Aid is good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, that's going to bring us to our last of the complaints that for those of you who don't know, I dirty myself with subreddits to find these things and just find a consistent complaint that's, that I feel like will make a good show topic. So this is our final one. And it's kind of the most ridiculous one too. Discovery is too woke. Or even worse, people have said in several different places, accused of overcorrecting, making the straight white male the bad guy, and all the good guys being of color or gay or both. Pat, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I read that one and I'm like,
oh, okay. Overcorrecting, making the straight white man the bad guy. It's true both seasons 1 and 2, the bad guy was a straight white man. Though, to be fair, let's point out that season 2, it was a robot who took over the white man. But anyway,
I mean, even season 1, it was a very white Klingon, I guess.
Or Lorca, I think is what they're getting at, is because Lorca. Yeah. But really, it doesn't really translate past that, and 2 is kind of iffy at that. Season 3 and 4, the protagonists aren't even human, much less white and straight.
Yeah, I mean. And that's the problem is like season 3 and 4 are like season 4, it's the 10C is the protagonist.
Yeah, in season 3, it was, the bird. And if you want to put a character face on it, was not a human at all.
No, it was one of Saru's, Kinsman. It was a Kelpian. It was a Kelpian.
And then the other side of that coin, making all the heroes that people of color are gay. I'm going to go back to the amazing Anson Mount and Captain Pike, who, as far as I can tell, as a character is straight, and Anson Mount is very much white and male, and he is very much one of the heroes of season 2.
Yeah, no, I could definitely agree there.
So, I mean, I think I don't know. Did you not watch past season one? Maybe.
I, I I think they just stopped.
I mean, the overall sentiment too is bad. That the show is too woke. Have you watched Star Trek like at all?
Well, that's the thing. Like Star Trek is always pushed the boundaries. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
It's
that's almost verbatim what I have on my notes. Is Star Trek
it,
always pushed limits of societal taboos. Always.
yeah, like that, and that's like my thing is like, I mean, we have Detmer, who's a human cyborg. We have, you know, we've had a Saurian on there. That's Linus, by the way, guys. If you, he's been, yeah,
Linus is awesome.
Linus is great. I mean, we have Saru as a Kelpian. We now have Adira, who's the Trill.
I think Adira too is part of when they're talking about woke in your face because
They go
she's
by
not.
they them.
They're non-binary. But I mean, to build on what you said, this has always been in Star Trek. I mean, back to the original series, they were pushing racial boundaries, and they had a black woman on the bridge doing a real job. She wasn't cleaning up. She wasn't the comic relief. They had the first interracial kiss that was in the '60s between Kirk and Uhura. Then you have Next Generation and DS9 both had episodes talking about homosexuality, not directly because it was the '90s and they would have been shut down, indirectly, but they took on the subject. Every version of Star Trek, with the exception of Discovery, which is ironic since they're all about time travel, has gone back in time to comment on societal woes. I mean, every version did.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there, and that's what the episodes are like. They,
I'd forgotten that. Sorry, just a real quick. Rob Man said Garrick is written as bi, and canonically he is.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on though.
No, and I mean, and that's what that's how they're written. Like the episodes are written to have, I guess, a wide variety of people or species of every creed, color, gender, everything. And Star Trek's always tried to have that. And back in the 70s, when you had TOS, it was really just like, aliens and like, just your different, genders and colors. But then when you got to like TNG, it was still pushing the envelope. We didn't really have any like unspoken, like, I mean,
what pops in my mind for TNG is the episode where they had the species that had 3 genders.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then DS9 had the whole thing where they were actually pretty clever. It was with Dax.
Yep.
And they had it as in the taboo on the show was not that this was a woman. It was that it was a previous. It was someone that the previous host had had a relationship with, and that's why it was taboo. But they were talking about it, the fact that they were 2 women.
Yep. Well, and that love interest was there. Like you got to see it. Like they hugged, they kissed, they did things. Like it was bad, but that was, because 2 trills, you're not supposed to renew love interest with an ex love interest in Trill, I guess. But that was DS9. And then in Voyager, it explored just a little bit more. We got, little inkling of more, but not much more. And then now Discovery is just like, no, we're just gonna go full force ahead with it. And you're gonna get, we're gonna represent everyone. The whole LGBTQ community is going to be represented because we have who is it? I love her as the engineer.
Oh my god! If you hadn't said, Tig Notaro. Yeah, I love that character. I wish she had more time on screen.
Yep, Tig is awesome. We have our non-binary Nadira. We have we have everything, and it's just like that's how Trek has always been. Is just one big family.
Mom Blue said that she's seen an episode with Tig in it and loves her. She's great.
Like when Tig's ordering, black licorice, I'm like, who orders black licorice? Like, it's the I used to eat it, but it's like it's the grossest thing.
Her and Anthony Rapp play so well off each other.
Oh yeah,
There's
I
that
love.
line after they come to the future and he's trying to work and he's like basically dying in the Jeffries tomb and she's like, "It's because you were impaled."
Yeah, quit bleeding all over the place. Like she's just like, it is so bad, but so great. Like she is, and the humor is just even. Like there is no like up or down. It's just like, hey, you're gonna blow up the whole world if you do this. No excitement ever delivered in that line.
She's great, and her stand-up's good too. If you have a chance to see her stand-up,
I've not. I've heard it's fantastic though.
it is amazing.
But
and
yeah, for the wokeness of it, no, Star Trek's always been that way. It's just
it's built in its DNA. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was part of what he was. I mean, even back to the when I mentioned capitalism stuff earlier. From the get-go, it's taken on capitalism, which was not an easy thing for people to hear. And it still isn't an easy thing for people to hear.
Well, no, I mean, look at the Ferengi. That's the Ferengi are the capitalistic society, and the Federation doesn't need money, and the Ferengi don't understand that. And it's hilarious. So
The Ferengi. I'm sorry, I just have a flash from DS9 when they removed the latinum out of the gold pressed latinum, and he's like, "All I have left is this useless gold."
yeah, I know. Gold, such a useless thing. Oh my god.
Let me throw this in here for wokeness. I'm actually stealing this from my fun facts, and then we'll move on to conclusions.
Okay.
One of my fun facts, and it's not really trivia because it's pretty obvious if you watch Star Trek, but Stamets and what's the doctor's name?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about though.
They're actually the first openly gay couple on Star Trek.
Which is awesome, by the way. And I love the Doctor.
Oh,
I was so pissed when they killed him off.
Don't worry, guys. He comes back like 3 episodes later. If you haven't seen the show, he doesn't stay dead long.
Nope, my CL network brings him back.
But yeah, they don't have to hide it anymore, and that means progress is being made. It doesn't have to be cloaked in some weird loophole. It's my past host. It's not that she's a woman.
No.
So I mean, overall thoughts. To me, this is the best of the new track, and it's really in the top 3 of all the track shows to me of all time. More so than any other version of track in the past, this show pulls at your emotions. And while I might not agree with every plot point, I think overall it is solid. It's one of the best. We're gonna get this thing done despite what happens to us moments. So you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trope that exists in almost every version of Star Trek.
Yep. Before
this one, my favorite one was DS9 when they're laying the minefield and Martok puts his ship in the line of fire so they can get it done.
Yep.
For me, Pike again because Ansem out. I would marry that man. For Discovery, it was season 2. Then the season 2 finale with Captain Pike
and the Enterprise.
Yes, on the Enterprise, and Michael had to get past the battle to start the time travel. And Pike does that line where he's like, "I want a cocoon surrounding her. She will make it, or we won't. We are Starfleet. Get it done."
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. Like that was it back then. That was like, and when he said that, it was just like, done. It's gonna happen. It's gonna,
It's a trope in Star Trek. It is, but it's something that they do well, and they've always done well. I said this earlier in the show. Anson Mount is amazing. I had no interest in Strange New Worlds until I saw him as Pike, and
I think he's going to play an amazing Pike for one season.
Yeah, however many seasons they stretch it out to, but at some point it's got
because Kirk's going to be season 2. They've already confirmed that.
Oh, they have? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have too much of a leeway because Discovery started 10 years before.
Yep. So we're going to get like that.
We're already 2 or 3 years in, depending on the timeline between seasons 1 through 3.
Yep. So we could see they could start out right after that battle, after the jump, and start out with how he cleans up after Discovery and all that.
Robin says in season 2, Kirk is still a commander.
Oh. Okay, so that's good. So maybe
we got at least 2 seasons with Anson, hopefully.
I would be okay with that. I mean, I know they've recast Kirk, and I like who they casted as Kirk, so But at some point, we know we're gonna have to cry when Ansem becomes,
The Pike box.
yep, Pike Box.
Beep.
Beep boop.
All right. How about your final thoughts there, Pat?
So I mean, like you say, for me, Discovery, like I told you when we started, when I first watched it, when it first came out, I literally after the first 2 or 3 episodes went, nope, not even a good show. Turned it off, was done with it because I was like, what am I watching? Why am I watching the beginning of this war? Like, this is the most ridiculous thing. This is like a mix of like, the reboot movies, but it's not a reboot movie because it's in the same universe as TNG and all that. I'm like, this is ridiculous. These bridges are like way too high tech for what we should be seeing. And then I got to the point where I'm like, they were halfway through season 1 or just finished season 1. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to sit down. Me and my wife decided we're going to go through and watch it. And once I got through season 1, I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. Now let's see season 2. And then with Lorca and all that in season 2, I was like, yep, I am good with this now.
How funny was it? Because you talk about the technology. How funny is it that they had holograms in the first season?
Yeah.
And then the way they write that out, because obviously it doesn't fit with the timeline of Star Trek, is that it was causing computer glitches. So Pike was like, rip it out of the console. I don't want any of my ships.
Yeah. It's literally, that's how they just were like, well, we only saw it in TNG, never saw it in TOS. So, nope, Captain Pike just made the executive choice. It's gone. And I mean, and that's how season 2 ended, was like everyone talked about, well, like I said, with the Mycel network, well, why didn't Voyager just be like, well, we're just going to create a spore drive and just go zoop and back home, right to Earth. Surprise.
No, the surprise is no one's allowed to talk about it. The few people who were left that knew.
Yeah. It's basically like Fight Club. Rule 1, don't talk about Fight Club. It's the people that knew about Spore Drive just never know.
It's also worth pointing out that they weren't able to recreate it, even if they wanted to, without finding a tardigram.
Yeah. So that was the big thing. Like even in season 4, when we got to see the new experimental Spore Drive, the one that integrated into Book's ship, that they still needed Book to,
because he was an empath. So you still, even with 900 years of the future technology, you still couldn't make it. So it wouldn't have mattered if Voyager knew about it at all. It wouldn't have mattered. They couldn't have built the thing.
Yeah, they could have built it. It would just went and given them the finger.
Oh, it would. Yeah, it had done the short burst, but as soon as they tried something long, you would have seen what happened to Discovery's sister ship.
Yeah,
which was bad things, folks.
Very bad things. The tardigram got really big and tried to, it ate the ship.
Yeah, and without it, they all melted into the bulkheads. Kind of like that that episode of the of Next Generation where they had the cloaking device that lets you pass through things.
Oh yeah, that was the Riker.
Yeah, picture that.
More or less. But what it really kind of shocked me, my closing thoughts are like season 4, we're seeing things like Easter eggs, like to throwbacks and like treaties that are dissolved now. Like there's a treaty in effect that the Federation can never have cloaking technology. Well, guess what we saw in season 4? Discovery certainly cloaked. So,
but it's again, it's 900 years of the future. I mean, at the start of season 4 or season 3, I'm sorry, the Federation's all but gone anyway.
I know.
It's a loose coalition of some ships.
Yep. Which one of them is a throwback? We have.
You talk about the Nog.
Well, you got Nog, but then you also have Voyager J.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new space dock in season 4 is named Archer.
Oh, I did catch that one.
Yeah, that's the Archer space dock. And if you look at the design of it, it's actually like it looks like the original Enterprise, like all the like.
I see it. I can see it. I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, my favorite one was when you first see Starfleet and you catch the USS Nog.
Yep.
It's like
I was very happy with that.
It was very good. So,
but I mean, like I say, I like where they're headed. I like the kind of tech they're using with it too. 900 years in the future, like that space station warping through everything, and like then like breaking apart and like parts of it just warping out. I'm like, I want to kind of see I'm really interested in where season 5 goes.
Same.
Because they are starting to do that like TNG style where it's like we have one big overlying problem, and that was this season was the 10C. And but we also had little problems like, and TNG always had that like Q was its overlying problem, always was. The trial never ended, and now
That's
we
the
have
premise
Picard.
of this season of Picard.
Yeah, Picard, exactly.
It still hasn't ended.
The trial never ended. So, and that was always in TNG's like back pocket. Like they could always pull out like a Q episode and be like, "It's Q."
And that could be a way for sustainability too, because you can't.
Yeah,
you're gonna run out of over huge season long story arcs if
Yep.
you don't start throwing in some more episodic stuff.
But I love how like the president's like a Bajoran Cardassian. Like we're getting more like of the old stuff with the new stuff, and I think Discovery, I could see a good 6-8 seasons easily.
Depending on how they do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that they're in the future, so they have free reign. They don't have to worry about
Yep.
stepping on anyone's
Nope.
storylines.
They can run with it.
All right, guys. With that brings us to fun facts. So at the end of our show, I look up some fun facts for the show. I already gave you one of them, but let's go through the rest. Paul Stamets, played by Anthony Rapp, was based on and named after a real life, I'm going to say this science wrong, myceliologist, mushroom or person of the same name. He was named after an actual living today Paul Stamets.
That's awesome.
And speaking his name is homages, the Discovery is an homage to the Discovery from 2001 Space Odyssey, as well as the Shuttle Discovery. That was an intentional nod to them.
Very nice.
Did you know the show was almost rated TV mature?
I could tell that. We've had some tidbits.
That would have made for an interesting Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
What else we got? The design of the ship Discovery was taken from a show called Star Trek: Planet of the Titans that was canceled in the 70s before it ever made it to air.
Very cool.
That's where the Discovery, if you look at it, it looks a little different, because it's got the little rotating thing in the middle, the saucer section. That's where that came from. And then our last fun fact, and this is a sad one. This is the first Star Trek not to feature Majel Barrett as the voice of the computer because, alas, she has passed away.
That is sad.
I feel like at this point, there's got to be enough dialogue of her doing it. You could just put it together.
I'm sure you could.
I mean, it wouldn't work for Discovery now that the computer is sentient, so it needs its own.
Nope.
I wouldn't mind hearing in Picard the computer speak in recycled dialogue.
You could totally do that. I mean, they've done it with less.
So. There's whole albums released from singers done with less.
Yeah.
But folks, that is our show for tonight and for season 1. This is our season finale. I am taking the month of April off to work on some other projects. Do not fear, we are not pod fading. We will be back in May, where we'll be talking about some great properties like The Postman, Alien 3, Ghostbusters 2016, Mario Brothers 2, and a lot more. But those are some of the highlights we're working on right now. If you're a patron of the show, do not fear. While we will be off air as far as new episodes, we will still be doing the commentary tracks and the Saturday morning cartoons throughout the month. So we'll have stuff coming up. And Pat, man, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
You want to take a moment and let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can really find me on, I mean, it's really easy. Hand from Above with no E at the end, on Twitch and YouTube. And I think it's Hand from Above on Twitter. So, I mean, I always am streaming. So I got content coming out the wazoo at this point. So if you like Pokemon, stop on by. I'm dumping a lot of time into Pokemon right now. So
awesome. And guys, of course, if you like the show, do me a favor and hit that review button. If you're on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. It helps you more than you realize with everything's algorithms these days. So it helps the show more than you could ever imagine. And I mean, that's it. That's all she wrote, folks. Thank you for coming out and have a good night.
See y'all.